What's poppin', everybody? This is Ray Rollins from the Ray Rollins Network, where we talk cartoons and we do it daily. I'm joined by Mr. Alex Payne, and today we're giving our review of Apple TV Plus's recently released, I guess you call it cartoon Snoopy in Space. Now, man, I'll tell you this before we get into the episode breakdown. I gotta say, man, I never seen anything from the Charlie Brown series, the Peanut series, whatever it's called, but
Me
I have
neither.
heard a lot about it. We're two young cats talking about cartoons, man, and this is one thing I enjoy. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, Charlie Brown, I know this. I'm not gonna sit here and fake the funk. Like none of these people I know anything about except Charlie Brown. I only know him for his name. So with all
And
that
that's the
being
thing,
said,
like to slip this in real quick. You could argue that's a good thing that they're bringing a show back to, like, I guess, reintroducing the
uh-huh, it's a
franchise to
classic.
a new thing, yeah,
It's
like
a
to a new
classic.
generation.
Like I said, we're a bunch of young cats, me and you, 22 years old. We never seen Charlie Brown and like that stuff you hear people in their 40s talking about. Our old producer Bailey Smoke Rudolph, he loves Charlie Brown.
I think that shit even
Connie,
older than that. I think that shit came out in the 50s,
it's
probably even
old school
earlier.
and it's a classic, and I'm glad to see them introduce something. And little spoiler alert, I'm kind of happy with it. I'm not disappointed with it at all. I got the free episode, checked it out, and I'm not disappointed. I got a couple gripes, which I will explain later on in the review. But do you have any like first impressions you want to say? Because I pretty much consider that my first impression right
My
there.
fir- my first impression was that the animation looked really, really good, smooth, and
No doubt, no
nice.
doubt.
Like, the animation was beautiful in this episode, in my opinion.
especially especially for like a Apple TV series. When you see these companies like Netflix and Hulu, and I guess Apple, you can introduce them now to the whole original series. Um, you wouldn't expect them to have good animation as they do. And listen, I once I seen the kids walking and shit, I was like, man, these kids look better. This cartoon looks better than South Park, a cartoon that's been out for over 20 years. I want to say 30 maybe. But that's the first thing I noticed off bat. But let's give a little episode breakdown, Mr. Alex Payne, and then we'll get into like moments and whatnot, and then our final review.
Well, this episode is pretty simple. It starts off with Snoopy having a dream that he's chasing a rocket in space and then falls down to Earth. But obviously, he wakes up. So he goes with Charlie Brown to his school because Charlie Brown is doing I guess you could call it like a play about the solar system. And seeing
Right.
that, Snoopy gets the idea that he wants to be an astronaut. So Charlie Brown helps him out with his application form and everything. They put it in the mailbox. And eventually NASA replies, but they deny him. But they also included some tickets to what where what?
Basically, I think it was in Texas, like a little space exhibit in Texas, basically.
Yeah. So they basically invited them to come down to NASA as, like, a compensation. So the episode
Right.
ends with them leaving to go there because I'm assuming this is going to be an ongoing series, if not for the first couple of
Of
episodes.
course. Right. Um. Okay. I guess we pretty much did our first impressions. I have to say this though. The whole little play thing that Charlie Brown and his friends did, boy oh boy, I was like, science. Actually, no, that was a little bit later on when he was explaining like how the solar system works. I'm like, man, that brings back nightmares. I hated science as a kid, man. That was my toughest subject. I did not fuck with no science, and finally, like getting back into college, I had to take 2 science classes. Didn't enjoy them, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I hate science. That's I just want to make that clear. But the whole play that they did was pretty interesting. Of course, it had a couple chuckles. Seeing the kids just smash into each other, and it looked like it was badly
It was
choreographed and whatnot. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it
But
was funny when he was like, "I am the intangible essence of the universe," and then the thing dropped on top of his head, and that
yep,
girl
just went
comes like,
bloop, just covered them.
and the girl
Little
comes like, "You don't look like the
tarp or
essence of
whatever.
anything." Like
Listen,
Cole.
kids are mean. Kids are mean. I noticed that watching all these cartoons recently. Kids are mean as hell. Um, One thing I do say, actually, you know what? I'll mention that when we get close to the review portion. Do you have any more moments?
I thought the opening was really funny when he was shooting out on his doghouse and then the doghouse fell and then he realized he was fucked.
Oh yeah.
That was funny to me. Um,
I Go ahead, go ahead. I'm still
uh,
thinking of another one.
I think that's oh, in the end when when the bus was leaving and then you see Charlie Brown chasing the bus because he forgot he didn't make it in time, I guess, or whatever. That was funny to me.
You know, that kid who's like, "No dogs allowed," being like all mean to Snoopy, and they kicked out the bird. He straight up flung little Snoopy after they did that little play. Just flung him. Is Snoopy a boy or a girl? I think it's a boy, right? Because it sounds like a
Yeah, it's a
girl dog.
boy. I think it's a
Okay,
boy.
okay, okay. Yeah, it sounds like a girl dog. I'm like, wait, Snoopy's a boy, I thought. But anyway, so they just flung the dog up out of there. I'm like, uh, yeah, Peter would not like that, I don't think. But anyway, I do have to say, like, one big gripe I say I have with this episode. Obviously, I don't know why they choose to do all these in like 8-minute increments, or if that's just how this little first portion of it's gonna be. But I really didn't like the fact that the story felt extremely rushed. I'm not lying to you. I don't know if it's
No,
something to
I
do
could
with
see
like
that. I could see that.
their budgeting or whatnot, and how they needed to like get it all done. How they, if it's like budgeting or time, if that's like those limitations are an issue, and they could be. So that's why I'm not like 100% holding it against them in my rating or whatnot. But that's one of the biggest gripes, and that's not just because
But
oh yeah, this is a new.
I will say this though. Um, for 8 minutes, they got to the story and tried to get a
Exactly.
lot in there. Because I mean, we watched plenty of episodes of SpongeBob where like out of that 9 or 10 minutes, it's like probably 3 minutes of actual story, and the rest is just
Exactly.
random
Right.
ass filler. I would say the
Right.
only fillerish thing is maybe the play went a little long, but I think that was the whole point of showing like why
If
Snoopy
you
got interested.
Right, exactly. Because, and you know what, I didn't mention that after the whole space thing, the space play, so you can see Snoopy takes immediate interest in that. I do have to say this though, to go back to what you were saying. Like, there's plenty episodes that of cartoons that I'll say like, yo, man, this would be 1 million times better if they had like a 30-minute episode. Now, obviously, limitations and all that. Like, I'm not in the room where all that shit's getting done, the writing and all that. So I really have no room to say that. I don't know how their stuff works, but if I had to say, I say, yo, get this as long as you can. I want this story to be flushed out 100% because there's some moments where it definitely, without a doubt, felt supremely rushed. Um,
If it was 11 minutes, it probably would have been perfect.
well, you know what? I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, 11 minutes, gigantic difference, because, like, I say I
You'd
like
be
my round
surprised,
numbers.
honestly.
You would, absolutely. You definitely would. But that's my number one
Think about
thing
it.
right there.
Every Courage episode is 11 minutes.
Right. And another thing, I don't like the fact that Snoopy doesn't talk. I don't like that. I don't like that. I love talking dogs, man. Listen, when we were doing our Courage reviews, and you brought me from season 1 where he was talking to season 4 where he wasn't talking, that really messed my head up. You do not understand. I'm like, no, Snoopy's not talking, man. This is just no. I can't do this. I really can't do this. But like I said, it's not anything that I'm gonna like say, oh yeah, this is a terrible show because Snoopy doesn't talk and the story's rushed. Like I said, that's all that goes down to limitations. Who knows what's going on
And
in
plus,
those
it's the
meetings
first
when they're getting that
episode
shit
too.
done. Exactly. So I'm very fair when it comes to that stuff. Overall, like I said, this episode was pretty darn good despite all the limitations. I'm saying it again, obviously, with time or whatever. I do have to say they accomplished what a pilot's supposed to accomplish: get you introduced to the characters. I'm assuming once we go more deep into the series, you'll realize who Charlie is and all the other people, his friends and whatnot. Is Charlie Brown the one with the chocolate factory, or is that Willy Wonka? That's Willy Wonka.
That's
I
really
don't know if they're
Wonka.
I don't know if their stories are interconnected. I honestly don't know. I'm being 100% honest. I'm not no pundit here, okay? So you just told me about this episode, and I was like, oh, that's a classic. Well, let's check it out. You're bringing back a series. But like I was saying, overall, this episode accomplished everything a pilot is supposed to. despite it being rushed, Snoopy not talking. Those are just little mini gripes and whatnot that I personally have with it. But overall, I gotta say, like, they told the story well, what a pilot's supposed to do. So they show how Snoopy got interested in the space, and the story structure was good, despite it being rushed. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. What about you?
Um, I pretty much agree with everything you just said. So for me to say much more would be just repeating you. And like I said, I
Right.
thought the animation
And
was
I'm
really
sure
good.
they heard that enough. So because I said it like 19 times.
I thought the animation was really great. I like the fact that they ended on like like I guess a cliffhanger in a way. Um,
Yeah.
so I like
Which
how
was
it ended
also
and
rushed
everything.
too, but
So I'm hoping that the later episodes are not as rushed.
Right.
Because maybe they were just trying to get from A to B real quick, um,
Right.
in the first episode because they didn't want it to be like I would think if it's anything they just don't want the whole thing to drag episode
Exactly.
to episode.
Exactly.
So
And like I said, it got me interested. It makes me want to check out episode 2. It makes me want to get that free trial to Apple TV Plus to see what's going to happen in that episode 2. That's 100% all God.
yeah,
Go ahead. Finish
but
off with your rating.
just like you, I could probably continue watching it just to see what happens and everything. If I get the subscription, which I probably will, I probably might see what happens next. But
All right.
But I'm right there with you. I think it was a pretty decent episode. I think I'm gonna give it a 7, just like you.
Okay. All right. Well, there you guys have it, man. This is our review of Apple TV Plus's original cartoon called Snoopy in Outer Space, man. I recommend you guys check it out. Get that Apple TV free trial. You can get the first episode free. Hell, I don't think you even have to sign up. So go check that bad boy out. This is the Ray Rollins Network, man, where we talk cartoons and we do it daily. I'm Alex Payne. Darn it,
You
I'm Ray
are?
Rollins. No, you're Alex Payne. I'm Ray Rollins. We just two homies talking about some cartoons, man. We love this stuff. And we talk SpongeBob's Friday. So we had to push that back a day just to talk about this Snoopy in outer space, man. Tell your granddaddies and grandmamas that this is out. Get them back into this whole little franchise that they trying to reboot here. So, yeah, Ray Rollins Network. We will see you when we see you. Peace.